If you got a bit of a fright there, or maybe you flinched, that's good. If I'd shown you a video of glass breaking, you probably wouldn't really have cared. But because you heard it, your brain instantly reacted. Visuals are essentially for lazy people. Visuals tell you exactly what to see. Audio, on the other hand, forces you to use your imagination. I'm Gareth Wenzel. I've been teaching filmmaking and media production for over a decade. Most creators use audio as a safety net. They think we'll fix it in post. In radio drama, audio is a tightrope. If the sound design fails, the world completely disappears. In this video, I'm going to teach you the engine of storytelling, the goal, the flaw, and the truth. And then I'm going to show you how to apply my SCORE story framework to write a script that makes the audience see frickin' ghosts without ever opening their eyes. So let's diagnose the problem. You struggle with radio drama because you are visually dependent. You rely too much on the camera to do the work for you. In audio, you have to be a better writer. The golden rule of radio drama is really simple. Sound, don't tell. If your character has to say, "Oh look, a giant monster is attacking the city," you've essentially failed. That is something that I like to call Scooby-Doo writing. Instead of saying, "It's a monster," create the growl of the monster and layer it with the sound of a building collapsing. Let the audience do the math and figure out what the hell's going on. Before we get to the sound effects though, we need the engine. Even without pictures, the 3 pillars of storytelling still apply. Pillar 1 is the goal. What does the voice want? Maybe they want to escape the submarine. Maybe they want to order a pizza. If the voice doesn't want anything, the listener essentially tunes out. Pillar 2 is the flaw. What holds them back? In audio, the flaw is often fear or an inability to communicate. Maybe they are whispering because they are terrified. Maybe they're shouting because they are arrogant. Pillar 3 is the truth. What do they learn? The moment the acoustic space changes and they realize they were wrong. The story again is simply the journey of the character struggling with their flaw to achieve their goal until they discover the truth. As I've said before, it's not magic, it's just mechanics. Now, let's see how we build that invisible world using SCORE. S is for setup, the acoustic space. In a film, you need an establishing shot. In audio, you need an establishing sound. Where are we? If it's a cafe, I need to hear cups clinking. If it's a spaceship, I need a low-frequency hum. You need to establish the normal. C is for conflict, the interruption. A specific sound breaks the routine. The alarm goes off, the footsteps stop, the glass breaks. This is essentially the antagonist entering the scene. And just remember here, the antagonist doesn't necessarily have to be a person, it can be a sound. A leaking pipe can be an antagonist. O is for overdrive, the uproar. This is where you earn your money as a sound designer. Overdrive is about density. You essentially pile the sounds on top of each other. The alarm is ringing, plus the character is breathing, plus the monster is roaring. You want the listener to feel that claustrophobia. Create a wall of sound that essentially represents the character's panic. R is for reversal, the dead air. And I said this in the podcast video, and I'll say it again here. Silence is essentially your weapon. Cut the noise. The engine dies, the monster stops roaring. The listener thinks, is it over? And then a single tiny sound reveals the truth. A soft growl inside that room. The reversal is the moment the acoustic space betrays the character. E is for enlightenment, the new kind of ambience, the aftermath. The explosion is over. What is left? Just the wind maybe, or just the rain. This is the new normal. And it should sound different than the setup. If the setup was a busy city and the Enlightenment is dead silence, we essentially know that the city is gone. So let's build a scene right now, a submarine thriller, because nothing says claustrophobia like a frickin' metal tube underwater. For the setup, the sound is, a low sonar ping, humming of the engine. The dialogue is the captain speaking calmly, course steady. The goal is safety. Conflict happens when we hear the sound of a metallic kind of clang against the hull of the submarine. The captain says, "What was that?" The sonar ping gets faster. Overdrive is the sound of water spraying into the submarine. There's a high-pitched hiss, alarms are blaring, the captain says, "Dive, dive!" And there's metal creaking under pressure. It's loud, it's chaotic. The reversal is that sudden silence. The engine's cut out, we just hear creaking of the metal and a giant deep heartbeat outside the hull. It's not an enemy ship, it's something alive. And there's the truth. Enlightenment happens as the heartbeat fades away. The captain whispers, "It let us go." The sound is just the slow sonar ping again, but the rhythm is different. It's hesitant, and we just created a whole story in, 30 seconds? And we didn't spend anything on CGI. That's the power of audio in radio drama. It's essentially the cheapest way to make a freaking blockbuster. So here's your homework. I want you to write a 2-minute script. But here's the rule. No dialogue, none at all. Tell a story about a burglary or a ghost or maybe a cooking disaster using only sound effects. Can you make me understand the goal? He wants to cook a steak. And the conflict, the smoke alarm goes off. And you do that without a single word of dialogue. If you can, you're a storyteller. Come back next week when we will apply the same framework and story structure to vlogs. I'll link that video here if it's already live. I'm Gareth Wenzel, that media prof, and remember, I'm always listening.